Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Erin and I like to talk about movies. On the topic of movies, today I put out a poll on my Twitter account a few days ago because I needed a video for this week, and I just put out the topics that I had listed in my notes app, and this is the one that won. So I am aware that it is odd to be doing top movies of 2024 when there's still 2 months left, this month and next month, but why not go ahead and talk about my top so far anyway. So I went through my Letterboxd diary and picked out 20 films that I watched for the first time this year, and I'm going to talk about them with you guys. Recommend them because they are my top 20 of this year so far. So let's get into it. So first up we have Off From Latabæ, which is the professional recording of the Icelandic stage play Off From Latabæ by Magnus Skeving, which came out in 1996, and its rough translation is Go Lazy Town. So as you can guess from that translated title, this is one of the original stage plays that inspired the TV show Lazy Town. I watched it for the first time this year. I have watched it 2 times so far. I plan to watch it more because it was incredible, one of my favorite things to have watched this year. And I adore the original costumes and designs of the characters that we come to love from the TV shows. I was a little sad to learn that there was a character whose name roughly translates to Penny Pastella. I believe the pronunciation in Icelandic is Irun or something like that. It starts with an E. She was absolutely adorable, and she became my favorite Latabæ character. I really wish that we could have seen her in the TV show that came out in the 2000s. If you hear noise in the background, I apologize. I do happen to have 2 cats, and one of them has the zoomies currently, so she's going to be playing with her toys. But yes, 5 out of 5 stars. I adored Off From Latabæ. Íþróttafréttin, the Icelandic version of Sportacus, played by the same guy who plays him in the show, who created Lazy Town, Magnus Skeving. He is basically just Latabæ's resident cryptid. I read that directly from one of my reviews. But he really is. He's just on that stage harassing the children and townsfolk. He is not an elf, he is an imp, if I do say so, which I do. But yes, I adored this so much. So it was amazing to see where one of my current fixations originated from. If you would like to watch Off From Latabæ, it is available on YouTube for free, and if you don't know Icelandic, the subtitles will be your best friend. Next up is the sequel to Off From Latabæ, which is Glæný gleypir í Latabæ, which roughly translates to Robbie Rotten in Lazy Town. I watched it 2 times, plan to watch it again. This is the introduction of Glæný gleypir, or Robbie Rotten, into the Lazy Town universe. Lots of stuff within it hints that he is a fae, and once again, I adored this. 5 out of 5 stars. This professional recording of the stage play released in 1999. It is also available to watch on YouTube. If you don't understand Icelandic, the subtitles are your best friend. Same notes as with the first one. Beautiful character designs. They were updated in this one to be a little more, I don't really know what word I am looking for, but they are more in line with what we see in the American TV show. Like Sola, or Stephanie, she has the iconic pink bob with the iconic dress, and Íþróttafréttin has the number 10 for the numbered heroes that we know Sportacus to have. Yeah, I absolutely adored this, and Stefan Karl Stefansson, he did a beautiful job with Lonnie Glaper and Robbie Rotten. Rest in peace to him. It's beautiful to see how this all started out. Ithro also teaches you how to terrorize your local fae. So if you would like to see those steps, he gives you a step-by-step guide. Watch the play or go read my review of it. My most recent review. Next up was Swan Lake, filmed for IMAX. I was so excited to hear when this was coming out because Swan Lake is one of my favorite ballets, and tickets to go see the ballet are insanely pricey. So hearing that they filmed a production of it to be shown at a movie theater was the best thing to me. And so we went to go see it, and it was gorgeous. The casting choices with the ballerinas and the casting choices with the performers, the cinematography, the effects and costumes, it was magical, and I almost cried. I was so in awe of it all. 5 out of 5 stars. This was released this year. It had a very limited run, so I apologize if you weren't able to go see it, but it was gorgeous. Next up is The Wild Robot, which released this year from DreamWorks. It was based on a book by Peter Brown. He's been doing so much promotion for the movie and his book simultaneously. If you haven't watched The Wild Robot yet, you are missing. You are seriously missing out. It is the best movie to come out of this year. I went to see it first time with a friend of mine who you all may know from my short films, Kenzie. This movie, I was crying before the movie even started. I was crying back when the first trailer released. I was crying during the previews of the movie. I'm a very emotional person, but yeah, I was crying before the movie even started. I was a mess coming out of that theater. It was laughable how much this movie touched me. The visual effects, the story itself, the animation. Animators need our help. Animators need our support. Seeing how beautiful this movie turned out, animators need more credit. Found family dynamic, Roz's relationship with Bright Bill and Fink, and the other animals in the forest. It's just knowing how this movie ends without giving anything away. That is what I am struggling with to find words. I'm struggling to figure out how to talk about these movies without giving anything away. But it's like a punch to the heart. Next up is a 2023 film, came out of Ukraine. I am going to butcher the pronunciation of this in Ukrainian, but I will tell you what it is in English as well after I accidentally butcher this. Mavka Lisova Pisna. The English translation is Mavka the Forest Song. I apologize to anybody in Ukraine. That was definitely a poor pronunciation. Mavka the Forest Song is a Ukrainian animated film that came out last year. Terrible reviews, but it's one of the most gorgeous movies I have ever seen. A lot of people thought that because of how the characters look, this was made with AI, but I did digging. It was not made with AI. It is not an AI generated film. That being said, this was gorgeously animated. The character designs were one of the best things one of the best things in this movie are some of the character designs. The songs throughout the movie. I even went on Spotify and listened to the original Ukrainian versions of the songs. Gorgeous. Movie, I will admit the film was a bit cheesy because it does involve romance, but it's beautiful. The character work reminded me a bit of Tangled, but the story itself was beautiful. Apparently this was an adaptation of sorts of a Ukrainian stage play. That's my understanding, reading some other reviews, but it's a 4.5 out of 5 stars for me. this film is. Next up is Deadpool and Wolverine. If you know me, you had to have been expecting a superhero movie that came out this year. So from me saying that you can guess Deadpool and Wolverine came out this year, I saw this with Mackenzie again, watched it one time. Deadpool and Wolverine, in my opinion, is the best Deadpool film of the three, and it could have used more Yukio. I adore Yukio. Her relationship with Wade is one of the best things to come out of the Deadpool movies. The cameos throughout the film were a lot of fun, although Kenzie and I were the only ones reacting when we were watching this to the cameos. Everybody else was just dead silent. I was really happy to see some of the characters again. This movie has been out for months, so I don't think a spoiler warning is warranted. So this right here is your warning. I was really excited to see the Blade again. I was really excited to see Jennifer Garner back in the Elektra suit again. And it was amazing to see Channing Tatum get to live his dream playing Gambit. I thought he did fantastic. I nearly cried when Channing Tatum walked out as Gambit. I was so happy for him. Parasocial relationship. You don't need to call me out on it. I'd like to think, in my own delusions, that they included the Giant Man suit for me. I love Ant-Man. The Ant-Man movies are my favorite Marvel movies. Need I say more? So yeah, this was 5 out of 5 stars. Looking back on it, I may lower it down to 4 stars. At the time when I watched it, it was 5 out of 5 stars. Next up is another movie that released this year, 2024, Cuckoo, starring Hunter Schafer. I went to see this with my younger sibling in theaters, and I don't understand why it took so long for this movie to come out. There were so many delays with this movie. I don't understand outside of COVID. This was an incredibly anxious film, but it was incredible at the same time. I thoroughly enjoyed myself. Hunter did a very incredible job. She needs to be booked more in films. Get her away from the Euphoria sets. They are not treating her well. I can understand how some people were underwhelmed with the film, but looking beyond how underwhelming it is, because all the delays made it seem like it was going to be this huge thing. But looking beyond that, this was a very good horror film. Cannot recommend it enough. Next is Venom: The Last Dance. Spoiler warning, considering this is a very recent release. I was so excited to go watch this. They really hinted at Venom and Eddie's romance in it. Before anybody says anything, that's not me being delusional. They are canon in the comics. And Tom Hardy really wants to sloppily make out with Venom on screen. They should have let him do it, but they did not. Eddie is canonically a widower now. I was actively crying watching this. I was actively crying while watching this movie. I am a bit disappointed that they didn't pull a switch ending like they did in the first movie, where you think the thing that happened, but last minute Venom reattaches himself to Eddie without anybody else noticing, so that he is seen alive. But in the end credit scenes, we may have Venom coming back, and I would be really excited if that were true. And we need to bring Tom Hardy back, because I don't think he's done. This one is going to be a little bit controversial, but Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey 2. I rated this 4.5 out of 5 stars. Is that a little high? Probably. But I really want to work with these people on another movie in the Poohniverse. This second film was a lot better than the first one. Do you still need to have watched the first one to understand the lore in this one? Most likely. However, the first film is worse than swampy gray water. Anyway, there were a lot of improvements in this film compared to the first one, and I really like the fact that they turned the original film into an in-universe, really bad Lifetime true crime film. The rave scene in this film, one of the best things actually. And I can't wait for the third installment. and I can't wait for the rest of this universe to be released. I am planning to go see Peter Pan's Neverland Nightmare and Pinocchio Unstrung. I was so excited when they announced that Tigger was going to be included in this film because Tigger is one of my favorite Winnie the Pooh characters. I mean, Tigger's design in this is my favorite, actually. I also love the inclusion of some of the other Winnie the Pooh friends. I like that they brought Piglet back, despite how in the first movie Piglet died. But, like I said, the first movie is a in-universe film, so yeah. Scott Chambers, please reach out to me. My contact information is on my IMDb. Next up is Young Woman in the Sea, which also released this year. 5 out of 5 stars. So, for those of you who don't know, this film is about... for those of you who don't know, Young Woman in the Sea is about Trudy Ederle, the young woman who swam across the English Channel by herself. I adored this movie. I was actually really intrigued when they released the first trailer, even though I didn't realize that this was going to be based on a true story. I must have missed that part in the trailer, but I'm a big fan of Daisy Ridley, so yeah. So when watching the film and I realized this was based on a true story and bits and pieces started to connect in my head, and I realized I've heard this story before. In elementary school, I was told about Trudy and her accomplishment of swimming across the channel, but it was one singular time, wasn't given specifics, was literally just told there was a woman who swam across the English Channel, and that was it. The teacher didn't even mention her name. So getting to watch this movie and learn about her, learn her name, she needs to be talked about more. Watch this movie. Next is the 2022 animated film Fireheart. This is a little under the radar. You can watch it on Hulu. This is, of course, a fictional film. It's set in the 1920s, 1930s, and other than my reviews, this has terrible reviews. Morticia, you got in front of the camera. That is my younger cat who is having the zoomies. So apologies. Apologies if you see her head. I will not be able to get her. Anyway, apologies if she cuts into the camera. I am not able to move her. She is stubborn. She is truly my child. Anywho, Fireheart. This is a really heartwarming and inspiring story. I don't understand the hate that this movie gets. It's incredibly heartwarming. The humor in it is great. Trying to get a spray bottle. Anyway, the humor in it's great. The fashion and aesthetics were beautiful. The story itself was incredible. And at the end of the film, they acknowledge the female firefighters, which is what this film is meant to tell the story of, even if it wasn't historically aligned properly. It's actually a phenomenal film. People just don't know how to have fun and enjoy movies anymore, especially animated ones. So definitely recommend. Next up is A Quiet Place Day 1. I went to see this fairly close to opening night. It was a few days after. This was an incredible addition to the A Quiet Place franchise. I was stressed. I was crying. The cat was the best character. However, Lupita Nyong'o and Joseph Quinn did phenomenal jobs in their roles. They could not have cast better actors for these characters. It was a little disappointing that they didn't bring back the original family from the first two films for this one, but time and the actors playing the kids are older now, so it wouldn't look proper. It wouldn't look right without a lot of CGIing, and you know how people feel about that, and you know how terrible it can look sometimes. Finn Wolfhard. Yeah, this film was more sad than scary compared to the other two in the trilogy, but I think it worked. I think it really worked for this one, because with the original two, you get more of the fear and the frankissity. They're really frantic. And in this one, you get a different perspective where it's not just scary for some people what's happening in the film, the invasion. It's not scary for everybody. For some people, it's actually sad. Yeah. Next is the 2012 film Would You Rather, starring Brittany Snow. I hadn't watched this beforehand, and I've only watched it once. I was multitasking while watching this film. It was gruesome, it was infuriating, and the ending was absolutely heartbreaking. Brittany did a great job in this, and so did the rest of the cast. Some of the characters in this you really want to beat up. In that one scene, if you know, you know, everybody should have chosen the barrel. There's ways to survive it. Next up is the 2024 film The Fall Guy with Emily Blunt and Ryan Gosling. I didn't know that this was a remake. Yeah. Jean-Claude is the bestest boy. We need more of Ryan Gosling as a disaster-whipped, well-meaning boyfriend. He did fantastic in this. He did fantastic in Barbie. Having a Kiss song as the theme was actually a very incredible choice, even if it was one of the more popular Kiss songs, but it worked. Loved the different versions of it throughout it. Loved Youngblood's version of it. I was not expecting that, and the scene where it plays was very humorous in my opinion. It was so dramatic, and then you have I was made for loving you, baby, come in. It made me laugh. But this film was such a beautiful love letter to stunt crews. Stunt teams don't really get the love and respect that they deserve. All the credit typically goes to the actors, like the main actors, not the stunt actors. It would have been nice if they actually just used stunt teams in this film, but having actual actors in it, it was okay. But I loved this movie. It was a lot of fun. Next up is a short film. It's called Forever Young. Came out this year. I watched it twice. The second time was because I had to show my parents because I was very proud of one of the actors in it. This is a short film. One of my really good friends, young actor, Carson Christensen, was involved in. He actually plays one of the lead roles in it. I adored this short film. It was beautiful and very realistic. It's a wonderful portrayal of reality and how some people are feeling at this moment. It's a reality happening to so many people around us. The cinematography was gorgeous. The sound design and acting were fantastic. If you were able to be in love with the film, I would be in love with this one, which feels a little weird saying, but you know what I mean. There are not enough words in any language to express how I feel about this short film, Thor. Yeah, I am very, very proud of everybody involved in this, especially Carson. Next up is the 2013 short film called Bitter Orange. Stars Brie Larson, and it's directed by Hope Larson. This is a short film that you need to just go in blind, so I'm not going to express too much about it, but it was very entertaining, and I think it deserves a full-length feature film version. The the costume design, gorgeous. The makeup, gorgeous. The acting, gorgeous. The story, gorgeous. Please watch it. Next up is Migration, which had a odd release. It's one of those that came out at the end of 2020. It's one of those that came out at the end of the year with a theater run that ran into the following year. So it initially released in 2023, but I caught it in theaters in January 2024. It's a very cute and silly film. Really good family movie. I loved it. The character of Gwen is absolutely adorable. Some of her scenes have become memes. This is one of those family films about a family, and it's kind of, in a way, it's a road trip comedy. The animation and character designs were really great. They showed the character designs and animation, and the writing and acting really helped differentiate between the different characters. I am terrible at talking about movies without spoiling them. I am struggling for words, but this was an absolutely adorable film. I watched it twice. If you're gonna watch this film at all, watch it for Gwen. The scene with the herons is actually really hilarious. Tish, get down. Morticia. Next up in my 2024 first watches is Prey. This is the first and only Predator film that I have ever watched. It feels really right for this to be the first Predator film that I've watched, considering it stars Indigenous people. And I love the care and attention that went into this film in order to portray Comanche people properly, and that there was dedication to there was a dedication in the credits for the tribe as a whole, alongside an entire Comanche dubbed version of the film as well. That really shows the dedication that went into this. Amber Midthunder did an absolutely phenomenal job in this. She needs to lead films more. I haven't seen people talk about this movie since it came out, which is absolutely sad to hear. This released in 2022. I need to watch the other Predator films. Second to last, Lisa Frankenstein. It released earlier this year, 2024. I can see Gomez and Morticia Addams doing what Lisa and the creature did in this film with each other. This was a lot of fun. It was kooky, silly, enjoyable. It was a very, very adorable film. I loved the homages to older films in this as well. Like, there were homages to Bride of Frankenstein and A Trip to the Moon. A Trip to the Moon is one of my favorite old films. I absolutely adore it. The aesthetics in this, the aesthetics, the soundtrack, the directing, the cinematography, the casting choices, the costumes and makeup. This is one of the best movies to come out of 2024. If you haven't seen it yet, you need to watch it. You are sorely missing out. And lastly, last but not least, The Red Shoes, released in 1948. I watched it for the first time this year. I am a very big fan of ballet. I love watching recordings of ballet performances. The cinematography in this was beautiful. The costume and makeup design, gorgeous. Considering this was Myra's film debut, she really knocked it out of the park. She was phenomenal in this as a lead. This was her debut. However, I agree with what other people are saying in their own reviews. What did the audience even see during the performance in this? Because they were going all over that stage with other props that had to have been blocking the audience view. I want to know what the audience was seeing, or what the audience was supposed to be seeing. Anywho, that will be it for this video. I hope you enjoy my recommendations. What were your top first watches of 2024? And I will be seeing you in my next video. Follow my socials, like and subscribe, and see you next time. Bye.